How to build muscle after 60, 70, and beyond. 4 rules that actually work. Let me ask you something directly. You are over 60, maybe over 70, and somewhere along the line somebody told you that building real muscle at your age was either dangerous, unrealistic, or simply a young person's game. I want you to tell me something. Who gave them the authority to put a biological ceiling on what your body can do? Because the science does not agree with them. 4 specific rules exist that govern muscle building after 60 and beyond, and the men who follow them are adding genuine, dense, visible muscle in their 70s and 80s. The men who ignore them train for years and wonder why nothing changes. Which man are you going to be after today? Rule 1, the progressive overload mandate. Your body only builds what it absolutely needs. Here's something most men over 60 get fundamentally wrong about muscle building, and it explains why so many of them train consistently for months without visible results. They confuse effort with progressive stimulus, and those two things are not the same. Effort means you showed up, you worked hard, you left tired. Progressive stimulus means the demand placed on your muscle tissue was greater than what it faced last session, forcing an adaptation response that results in new tissue being built. One of those produces sweat. The other produces muscle. Only one of them builds the physique you are after. After 60, the anabolic response to training becomes more selective. Research from the Journal of Applied Physiology confirmed that older muscle requires not just consistent stimulus, but progressively increasing mechanical tension to maintain and build tissue. A man lifting the same weight for the same repetitions week after week is providing maintenance stimulus at best. His muscle has fully adapted to that demand and has zero biological reason to build anything new. The practical rule is non-negotiable. Every 2 weeks, not every session, not every month, but every 2 weeks, something in your program increases. Either the load goes up by the smallest available increment, or the repetitions increase by 1 or 2 per set, or the rest period shortens by 15 seconds. Small, consistent, compounding. That is the overload that builds muscle at 60, 70, and 85. Your body does not know your age. It only knows demand. Give it more than last time, and it will build. Give it the same, and it will simply maintain. Give it less, and it will dismantle. Choose deliberately every session. The next rule addresses the variable most men completely underestimate, and it is not about what you do in the gym at all. Rule 2, the protein threshold rule. Eating the same as always is now half of what you need. You've been eating protein your whole life. You know protein builds muscle. You probably think you eat enough of it. The research on men over 60 says there is a very high probability you are wrong, and the deficit is larger than you think. A biological process called anabolic resistance develops progressively after the age of 55 and accelerates significantly past 60. What it means in plain language is this. Your muscle tissue requires a larger protein stimulus to produce the same muscle protein synthesis response that a smaller amount produced at 45. The signal threshold has risen. The input required to trigger the building response has increased. And most men over 60 are still eating the protein quantities that worked a decade ago, while wondering why the training is not producing what it used to. Research from Maastricht University established that men over 60 require a minimum of 40 grams of leucine-rich protein per meal to reliably activate muscle protein synthesis, compared to the 25 to 30 grams sufficient in younger men, per meal, not per day. Each meal must independently cross that threshold or the anabolic response is blunted before it starts. Daily total target between 1.6 and 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. For a 175-pound man, that is 128 to 175 grams daily, distributed across 4 meals, not 2. 4 to 5 whole eggs combined with Greek yogurt at breakfast. A substantial meat-based lunch. A quality protein shake around training. A casein-rich pre-sleep feed. That is the architecture. Simple, precise, biologically necessary. And the next rule is the one most men know they should follow but consistently undervalue until they understand what specifically happens inside the muscle when they skip it. Rule 3, the recovery priority rule. Muscle is not built in the gym, and most men forget this. Picture this. You spend 45 minutes placing the exact right mechanical stimulus on your muscle tissue. The training was perfect, the progressive overload was applied, the protein was consumed, and then you sleep 5.5 hours, skip the post-workout nutrition window, and go straight back to heavy training 24 hours later because you are motivated and committed and feel like more must be better. Every biological adaptation from that session the muscle protein synthesis activation, the hormonal response, the satellite cell recruitment, is being undermined before it completes. Not because the training was wrong, because the recovery environment was insufficient to convert the stimulus into actual tissue. After 60, recovery capacity declines in proportion to the hormonal changes that accompany aging. Growth hormone, the primary overnight driver of muscle repair, releases in its largest daily pulse between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. during deep, slow-wave sleep. Testosterone reaches its daily baseline restoration overnight. IGF-1 converts the growth hormone signal into actual cellular repair. All three require 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep to fully execute. Consistently delivering less than 7 hours is not a minor inconvenience. Research from the University of Chicago showed that 1 week of 5-hour sleep reduced testosterone by 15%. That is not a weekly fluctuation. That is a chronic hormonal suppression that compounds daily. Between sessions, aim for 48 hours minimum before retaxing the same muscle group. 3 days weekly of resistance training, not 5, not 6, is the research-supported frequency that allows full neuromuscular recovery and produces superior long-term hypertrophy results in men over 60 compared to higher frequency approaches. More is not better after 60. Better is better. Before the final rule, if you want the complete system built around these 4 rules, the Silver Athlete Blueprint is the resource. It contains the SMART training protocol, muscle building strategies, V-taper technique, precise nutrition and proportions, recovery systems, and hormonal optimization built specifically for men 60, 70, and 80 plus. Scan the code on screen right now or check the description and pinned comment for the direct link. Everything this channel teaches, structured and ready to implement. The final rule is the one that determines whether all 3 of the previous rules actually work, and it operates entirely outside the gym. Rule 4, the hormonal environment rule. Your results are decided before the first set. Here's a concept that most fitness content never addresses because it is harder to put on a thumbnail than an exercise demonstration. The hormonal environment your body exists in when you train determines how effectively the training stimulus converts into muscle tissue. 2 men performing identical training programs with identical nutrition can produce significantly different results, and the primary variable distinguishing them is the hormonal environment each has built or neglected through their daily habits. Testosterone, growth hormone, IGF-1, and cortisol interact in a continuous biological negotiation that governs muscle building capacity every hour of every day. When testosterone and growth hormone are optimized and cortisol is managed, training produces robust anabolic responses, protein synthesis is efficient, and muscle tissue accumulates steadily. When cortisol is chronically elevated and testosterone is suppressed through poor sleep, chronic stress, excessive training volume, and inflammatory dietary patterns, the same training stimulus produces minimal results while simultaneously increasing injury risk and recovery time. The 4 daily habits that govern this hormonal environment are: morning cortisol management through outdoor light exposure and deliberate movement rather than phone-first, stress-first mornings. Quality sleep protected as a non-negotiable biological priority. Visceral fat reduction through dietary precision and resistance training, because visceral fat contains aromatase that converts testosterone to estrogen, and elimination of the chronic inflammatory dietary inputs, refined seed oils and ultra-processed foods that sustain the inflammatory hormonal environment suppressing anabolic signaling. These 4 rules stack. Progressive overload provides the stimulus. Protein provides the raw material. Recovery converts the stimulus into tissue. Hormonal optimization amplifies every step. Miss any one of them and the others are compromised. Apply all 4, and the biology does what it was always capable of, regardless of what year was on your birth certificate. Final thoughts. 4 rules, backed by science, available to every man watching this, regardless of age, regardless of how long the decline has been running, and regardless of what anyone in your life has told you about what is or is not possible for your body after 60. I want to say this clearly. The men who argue with you about whether this is realistic, the ones who tell you to slow down, be careful, accept your age, they are working from a story about aging that the biology does not support. You are not too old to build muscle. You are too old to waste time following rules designed for younger men when the specific rules for your biology are right here and right now. Prioritize your health above everything competing for your attention. Your wealth grows in value when the man managing it is strong, sharp, and physically commanding. Your relationships deepen when the man in them is vital. Your years ahead are genuinely your best years, but only if the body carrying you through them is built for